How much do you know about how your brain works? Well, if you're like me and the answer's not very much, we're all very lucky because with me today is Dr. Arlene Taylor, brain function specialist. How are you, Arlene?
I'm glad to be here, thank you.
So how long have you been involved in this brain function area of interest and research?
My mother tells me that when I was 5 years old, she found me in my father's study looking at an atlas of the brain.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know where that came from, cellular memory perhaps, but I've been interested my whole life. And since the advent of brain scans, when we can now actually watch your brain functioning while you're still alive, it's just marvelous information. I'm so glad I'm still in my career.
Wow, so these are the sort of tests where they ask you to read or to remember something or to do something, and they watch which part of your brain actually lights up. And wow, that's incredible. So how long have you then been involved in this as a profession?
I've probably been lecturing on brain function for 50 years.
Goodness, okay.
Well, yes, I know. Late 1800s is when I started.
That's a lot of expertise. That's the point I was trying to make.
And at first, you know, all we knew about the brain was observations, and that started with Hippocrates, who said, you know, there are 4 chunks to the cerebrum, and he was right.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of temperament, you know, sanguine, phlegmatic, you know, choleric, melancholy. And now that we can actually watch our brains functioning, a lot of what he said was accurate, but we are now getting, of course, much more refinements, and this is now being called the age of the brain.
That's interesting you say that, because I'm really noticing that there seems to be a lot of brain stuff going on in the public arena lately. I mean, I read a book recently by Dr. Timothy Jennings, you know, neuropsychiatrist, looking at the brain and spirituality. Barbara Arrowsmith-Young, you know, looking at education and the brain. A lady from South Africa, what's her name? Dr. Caroline Leaf, you know, switching on your brain. Is it a bit of a flavour of the month thing?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that we are now actually being able to figure out brain function. And if you pay attention and apply it practically, then you can start using your brain by design instead of just hit and miss. Sometimes you get it right, you're not sure what you did to get it right, so you can't replicate it, or you really mess up badly and you're not sure how you messed up, so you keep doing it again. You can actually live your brain by design in terms of your behaviors and what you're pursuing, and that's really exciting.
Well, this is the thing that I think is really surprising, you know, because we're hearing this word, you know, neuroplasticity, you know, come around. You can change your brain, because in the past, I'm sure I remember hearing, oh, your neurons are set, you know, once you kill your neurons, they're gone forever, there's nothing you can do about it, you know, all this sort of stuff.
Well, partly that is true. When you come out the chute, you pretty much have your neurons. You'll lose some of them in pruning. And we know that there are parts of your brain, like the hippocampus in that middle section that is your search engine. You can kill brain cells fairly easily based on your lifestyle, whether you are using inappropriate substances, not taking care of your brain. But yes, your brain is hardware and software, if you will. And we can do a lot about the software. And that's habits, changing your behaviors, and so on. Largely a choice. Many people don't think there's anything they can do, so they use it as an excuse. But there's lots you can do.
So it's not simple as this is the way I am. It is actually possible to teach an old dog new tricks, as they say.
Absolutely. May take them slightly longer, but sometimes not even that. Having said that, there's not a lot you can do about the hardware. So some things are set. You know, when I came out the chute, I happen to have an empathizing brain, which aligns with a female brain. Based on how you look, which may not mean anything, but based on how you look, my guess would be that you have a systemizing brain that's more aligned with the male brain. But it could be, you see, that your brain doesn't match your body. And then you'd have an empathizing brain in a male body. So you can't always tell by looks. But so there's some things that you can't change, but you can change tons of stuff about your behaviors, and you can learn almost anything on the planet if you want to put the work in.
So there are actually some differences between the male and the female brain in general, not every man and woman, like you're saying. Is it,
Duh.
there are, yeah. Well,
Huge.
yeah, okay.
We just got something called connectome research, which is DTI modalities, and it shows how the connections in the male brain versus the female brain run. And in your brain, you've got lots of connections top to bottom in each hemisphere, but not very many crossing from one hemisphere to the other.
Okay.
My brain has almost all its connections crossing between the two hemispheres and just a few going up and down. Makes a huge difference on how behaviors are exhibited and what males do better and what females do better.
So how can the male brain and the female brain understand and relate to one another perhaps better than we do in this sort of men are from Mars, women are from Venus sort of perception we have?
Well, if you understand brain function, then you understand that we were really designed to be complementary, not antagonistic. But I will be able to do things that you don't do very well. And you're going to be able to do things that I don't do very well. For one thing, you've got way much stronger muscle function. Twice the upper body strength, 3 times the lower body strength. You can open the door for me and carry my suitcase anytime you want to, because you do that better than I do.
Yeah. What about spirituality, Arlene? Because we sort of hear this research where they say, oh, if you stimulate a certain part of the brain, people have a sense of presence in the room, you know, which proves, they say, that the idea of God and having any sense of God's presence is just an illusion. It's your brain playing tricks on you. But other people see it quite differently. How do you understand the brain and spirituality?
Well, the brain can play tricks on you. For example, what people call déjà vu, you know, I had a past life. I don't think that's got anything to do with any possibility of a past life, but what it does have to do with is that your ancestors live within your body from the past 3 or 4 generations as cellular memory.
Right.
And that will push you toward feeling comfortable in situations where you personally have never been, but one of your ancestors may have been.
Wow.
Now, in the temporal lobes, especially the right temporal lobe, there is some sense that that's the part of the brain that helps you have mystical experiences, meaning relating to a higher power that you've never seen and so on. And so sometimes people can misinterpret what that means. Whatever the human brain is, and we have a lot yet to discover, it's relational, it is sexual, having nothing to do with exhibiting sexual behaviors, but we are sexual beings, and it is spiritual. What doesn't seem to be innate is being religious. The brain is very spiritual. Religion is a choice to affiliate with a group of people. And so those can be very separate. There are many people who are exceedingly spiritual, who believe there's a higher power, who feel awe in the presence of nature and wonderful music and so on.
But the structures of religion just leave them cold.
But the structures leave them cold, especially if the style doesn't match their brain's innate giftedness.
Now, I heard one of your presentations in which you said if you read aloud, it's actually better for your brain than if you read silently. Does the same go for prayer? If you pray aloud, should that affect your brain more than just praying silently in your mind?
I don't know any research specifically related to prayer, but I would think yes for this reason. Because when you pray silently, it is a mental construct. When you read a paragraph to yourself silently, a little pinpoint of light shows up in each of those 4 chunks. But when you read aloud, now you have to change what you're seeing into articulated sound, which involves different parts of the brain, and certainly your tongue and your mouth and your teeth. And so 80% of those chunks light up, which is why that's now considered an anti-aging strategy. On top of that, you are now hearing the sound. So it becomes a whole brain experience, basically. And when you read aloud, you can put that into long-term memory, the information, much faster than when you read silently.
So this probably explains why I find that when I pray aloud, I tend to be able to concentrate better on what I'm saying than if I just try to pray silently. So
you could get perhaps more easily distracted.
Wow.
But the thing is, all you know is your own brain.
Sure.
And we tend to think that because our brain works this way, theirs must work this way too. Every brain on the planet is different.
Yeah, sure. Now, just before we finish, because we are just about out of time, can you give us maybe 2-3 tips for a healthier brain? How can we make the most of, this gift we've been given of our brain?
The best thing you can do is live what we call a high-level healthiness lifestyle. If you take care of your brain, what you do for your brain also supports your immune system. And we now believe that that could probably, all things being equal, extend your life 25 years. Many people die much sooner because they haven't taken care of their brain. So you want to avoid trauma, toxins. If you smoke, stop. If you don't, never start. You want to keep your brain well hydrated because you can actually get brain tissue to shrink and pull away from your skull when you don't have enough water, and that's your primary beverage. Avoid soft drinks, period, but water, so that you keep your brain nicely hydrated. Plenty of sleep. Every brain needs its own amount of sleep. I need 9 hours solid.
Wow.
And if I get that, I can go like a house afire. If I lose an hour, I'll know it. If I lose 2, you'll know it.
Yeah, okay.
And then lean toward a Mediterranean cuisine, toward vegetarianism. So there's other things we can do, but that's it in a nutshell. 30 minutes of challenging brain stimulation every day, 30 minutes of good physical exercise, because no muscles in the brain. You need the physical exercise to whoosh the blood through.
Sure.
10 minutes of reading out loud a day, and then some of these other things. And hey, I'm aiming to be a minimum of 120 years old.
Go for it.
With good mental, emotional, physical, spiritual function.
Love it. Hey, well, thanks so much for your time. And if you're interested in knowing more about Dr. Arlene Taylor and her work on the brain, you can check out her website, arlenetaylor.org. The address is right there on your screen. Newsletters, your blog, some books you've written, it's all there. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.